Salute Booktube. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. We are at volume 11, part 11 of my celebrating Booktube series. Now I know I've been uploading so many and I've been flooding your subscription feeds with a lot of videos almost every other day. But there's reasons for that. A couple of reasons. The first one is there's so many booktubers that I want to thank and celebrate, so that's partly your fault. Uh, and the second reason is, and I've mentioned this in my last couple of videos, is I'm again expecting to be off booktube for a while. I'm expected to again travel abroad, and when I'm traveling abroad I don't upload videos. I won't have this background, and B, I'm um, just yeah. I mean, I'm not in my usual setup, so I don't see how uploading videos abroad. I'm just not comfortable with that. So what I wanted to do is finish this series before I travel. I'm expected to travel around um, towards the end of July, and I'll probably be gone for about a month. Probably less than a month. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. It depends. But I'm not gonna be uploading then. So what I wanted to do is to finish this series and try to get it done before I travel. So that's the reason why I've been uploading so many of these. Um, the good news is once I'm gone, there's gonna be very little uploading, so you'll rejoice. There'll be much less videos of me. So that's the good news. The bad news is we've still got a lot of a lot of videos to do, a lot of booktubers to celebrate. And for this one, number 11, I do want to celebrate a longtime booktuber, a booktube veteran, somebody who I've been watching well before I had a channel. And since I started my channel, we've also, I guess, connected and become friends, I guess, booktube friends. Uh, and this booktuber is also a book reviewer. He reviews books on Steve Donahue's platform, which is called Open Letters Review, his online literary journal. The booktuber is James Holder. James is out of Texas, although if you're a regular of his channel, you will know that he has a favorite bookstore in Portland, Oregon, and he orders so many books from that bookstore. I think it's inevitable that he's going to be moving to Portland, Oregon, in the very near future, sooner rather than later. It's just a matter of time. But again, just before I did this video, I took a look at James's channel, and I think he's at the time of recording 795 subscribers. So he's just 5 short of 800. I'm not a big channel. I can't channel boost, but if you're watching this and you're unaware of James Holder, check him out, watch his videos, subscribe to him, get him to 800. It's quite an achievement. I know he's gonna reach 800 again sooner rather than later, but I just wanted to use this opportunity to congratulate James in advance for that epic milestone. Well done, James. So when I was also checking out James's channel, I was planning to do another tag. Again, James Holder is one of the veterans. He's one of the cool kids on BookTube, and the cool kids on BookTube, they they don't do the mid-year freakout tag. If you watched my volume 6 of this series, I did the mid-year freakout tag, which is basically a tag in which you review. You do it at the middle of the year, which is the period we're in now, June, July. You review the first half of the year, how your reading went, your reading stats, what you liked, what you didn't like, favorites, least favorites, new authors discovered, that sort of thing. Just a mid-year review. But apparently the cool kids don't do it. They don't do it anymore. It's so passé. It's old. It was so last year. So the new tag to do is called the mid-year check-in tag. That's what the cool kids are doing. But apparently I'm not one of the cool kids. So I saw James do this mid-year check-in tag, and I thought I would do it. But then I read the prompts, and because I did the mid-year freakout tag, it's very similar. I didn't want to repeat myself. God knows you guys are sick of me and the large amount of big of long videos I'm uploading, so I don't want to do a repeat. So I said, what can I do? And then when I was again going through and watching James's videos, he made a new tag. A couple of days, it's probably going to be older by the time this video comes out. It's the tag he did is called the Packing Heat book tag. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate because the subtitle of this Packing Heat book tag is What to Pack on a Holiday. And as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, or I think we're still in the introduction of this video, I discussed earlier, I was traveling before, I've come back, and I'm going to be traveling again. So I've got a lot of experience of traveling abroad and flying with books and packing books and all that stuff. And it is appropriate, it's the summer and people travel, and I'm again also traveling, so I thought the tag would be appropriate to do, and thankfully James did it. He mentioned at the end that whoever is interested in doing this video is more than welcome to do it, so I considered myself tagged. Thank you, James. And I thought I would do this tag. Just one more thing, the tag is not James's original. This original tag was created by Heather Gregg 9975. She's the originator of this tag, and what she says on her video is, at last a tag about which books to pack for a holiday, with a title tipping its Stetson to all readers of Westerns for June on the Range. That's a booktube event in June. Because I was traveling, I couldn't participate, but that's where you're encouraged to read Westerns. Please do this tag to add to your wisdom to the collective booktube knowledge. Yeah, basically, again, what to pack on a holiday. That's the theme of this tag. So let's just get to the prompts and start it. There's not too many, only 6. So let's get started. It says, which type of books do you pack? That's prompt number 1, or question number 1. For me, and those of you who are new to my channel, I am mostly a nonfiction reader and mostly a history reader. Most of the books you see behind me is history and nonfiction. I do read fiction, of course, but nonfiction is my thing, I guess. So, and it's the same when I'm traveling. I had seen another booktuber, Jeff, at Reading Still Matters. He had mentioned that he reads histories by the pool, and I was like, thank God, I'm not the only one who goes to the beach or the pool in the summertime and read histories. So, I usually do read nonfiction, although I should read fiction because it's so difficult to concentrate and read nonfiction and things like history when you're traveling. If you're in a plane, there's a lot of noise and sound. When you're in nonfiction requires a bit of concentration, while an easier beach reads, beach read is typically less, intellectually straining. So it's easier to read with all the distractions of a holiday or while you're traveling, if you're in a car or something, whatever. But so I should read more fiction, but it's mostly non-fiction. It helps me allow the time to go by quicker because I enjoy reading it. So in airplanes, buses, trains, cars, etc. Although again, when I travel, I don't read much. I think there's a question. I really don't read much. There's a question getting to it because question 2 says give examples. So they want. So I read like obtuse histories, like big histories, and I tend to take big ones so that I don't run out of reading material while traveling. So here's I don't usually read this, but I could if you made me. If I had to, I would. I'd have no problem. Something like this: Europe since Napoleon, by David Thompson. Just a large, big history of 19th century Europe. You've got, first of all, look at the font. Look at the font on this thing. It's tiny, okay? And then, and then you've got, look at this. How about this for beach reading? Diagram 3, look at the graphs on that. It says output of coal and lignite, 1871 to 1913. And there you see you've got the United Kingdom. This is in 1871, and and that's Germany. And then this is in 1913, just before World War One. Look at Germany and look at the United Kingdom. They're neck and neck. Fascinating beach reading. The same thing here, diagram 2, building railroads, 1870 to 1910. And there you've got the United Kingdom ahead at the beginning in the early 19th century. But then look at Russia catching up. Look at Germany, France to a lesser extent, but just on the eve of World War One. So it goes from the end of Napoleon, or yeah, the fall of Napoleon to the start of World War One. And it's just a dense history again. Very small font. Beach reading, Saracen style. Yeah, I mean, something like this. But I think would I actually take this copy? That's the question. Would I this copy? Would I put this heavy book in my bag? That is the question. I think that's question 3. It says. Oh, sorry. It says number 3 says, should you leave space in your bag to bring back books bought on holiday? Yes, yes, I do. Again, for those of you who are new on my channel, I am based in the Middle East in a country called the United Arab Emirates. We've got good bookstores. We've got decent English used bookstores, decent English new bookstores. If you really need a book, you can get it. Kindle is always there if you are desperate and you can't find it. That being said, it's not the United Kingdom, it's not the United States, it's not an English-speaking country, it's not Europe, it's not, I don't know, Canada or Australia. You're competing with Arabic books, used bookstores, so the books are, you won't find, how do I put this? You won't find as many books as you would if you lived in those countries that I listed. So when you do find a book, you really do have to grab it, because you never know when you're going to see this copy ever again, especially if it's a rarer book. With that being said, when I do travel, I always I'm on the hunt, I'm on the lookout for books. Before I travel, I will also see where the bookstores are. And base my itinerary around where the bookstores are. It's one of the things I do when I travel, is go to bookstores, because I like traveling alone. So a bookstore is a good place to kill a couple of hours, at least an hour maybe, to kill time when you're alone in a new place. Again, and in these places I find books that I wouldn't find here, so I'll also purchase. I'll also, let's say I'm in Paris, I'll check this on the map. I'm starting here and I want to visit the Eiffel Tower. I'm gonna find the route, and then in the route I'm gonna see where there are bookstores I can stop. That's how I do my traveling. And then also space is an issue, because they're heavy, especially if you're carrying hard copies or paperbacks. It does get heavy, especially if you're traveling to multiple destinations, which I like to do when I travel. So what I use then is post offices, and James mentioned this. He uses the post office a lot. So I've used the post office in Italy, I've used the post office in France, I've used the post office in Greece, in Poland. I use the post office if I've bought a lot of books, and the post office when traveling is a good place to understand the culture of a country. It's a tourist attraction in of itself, and getting the box and taping it, putting the address, dealing with the postal. The person working, the post office worker, paying the fee for sending. It's all it's a cultural experience in itself. So definitely I leave space, and if my space runs out, I will use postal services, and I will pay for that. I see it as a investment, not an expense. So number 4 goes back to that. What is your formula for working out how many books to bring? I think this should have been number 3. Anyway, what is your formula books to bring? I have stopped bringing paper backs or hardcovers, like just hard copy books. So I mentioned this book. If I was to bring this, this is heavy. Look how big this is. It's big and it's heavy. And then if it's in my bag and I'm taking it in and out and I've got other things, I'm scared it's gonna crease. The cover is gonna tear. I'll drop food or whatever on it, sunscreen, who knows, all kinds of things, and just moving from place to place. I'm not comfortable anymore taking a hardcover or like a print and paper book traveling with me anymore. A, because it's heavy, and B, because it could get damaged. Um, a good example of that is this book here. I've got these books. Now, these are, nobody would travel with these because they're larger, but I want to use this as an example. I've got these books. They're by Alan Moorhead. This one is called The Blue Nile. Look at that cover. The Blue Nile. And then the sequel, I believe this is a sequel, is called The White Nile. Look at that. Look at that waterfall, cataract, I believe, on the Nile. And these are books. It's described as a modern classic of historical travel writing. The Blue Nile is a fascinating story, superbly told and lavishly illustrated. And for the White Nile, it says the story of the Nile from the mountains of the moon to the Mediterranean. And that's exactly that. It's about travel in the 19th century, the discovery of the source of the Nile, and it's all about the countries that the Nile goes through. Egypt, of course, Sudan, Ethiopia, all the way to, is it Tanzania and Lake Victoria, or Mount Victoria, where the source of the Nile, wherever that is. The famous explorer, I think he has to be mentioned here. Yes, Stanley and Dr. Livingston, I believe. So I mean, again, look at this. I mean, this edition. Look at the photos. That's Napoleon, I think, in Egypt when he conquers Egypt. What else do we have here? Just a lot of Orientalist art. That's a mosque there. Just full of it. Very nice images. I always say photos, but it's actually images, I should say. You've got Dr. Livingston. This kind of thing. About the Suez Canal, Kitchener in Sudan. As I mentioned, Stanley and what was the famous quote? Dr. Livingston, I presume, when they found them. So these are books you don't want to take, you want to read, but you can't. I'm using this as an example. You don't want to put this in a bag. A, it's heavy and they're big. They're bigger books. They're oversized. And number two, this will get damaged. And this I want to keep, preserve it in my library, and just make sure take care of them, preserve preserve their look, because they're made to be appreciated. So what I would do in this case, if I did want to read this book, is I'd get a reading copy. So this is a reading copy of that same book, and this is The White Nile. Now this one I found at the used bookstore. It's already I paid very little for this, so it's already kind of damaged. You can see, so the damage is there, and this is just a floppy paperback which I can use. This I would travel with. I wouldn't mind if this got destroyed, because it's already destroyed and it's much lighter. So that's an example. That's an example of what I would do. But as I mentioned, even taking a paperback like this, one that is in a bit of rough shape, I try now to avoid taking any print and paper books. If I'm traveling, I think electronic is the way to go. I know some people like to read and they just like to hold it. They like the feel in their hands, even when they're traveling. But just to save space and to save weight, I mean, electronic is the way to go. And I have no problem reading electronic, although I do have a lot of print and paper books, which I still do prefer. I think that answers the question. Your formula. The other thing is if I'm traveling, the other thing is guidebooks, like the actual travel guide. So what I used to, I would my, I think is it the next question? No, I mean how many? The formula again. How many books would you take? Again, because they're heavy, maximum is two. One preferably. Again, if we're talking about print and paper books, if I take a second one, it'll usually be a guidebook, like a Lonely Planet or so for the place that I'm traveling. But I don't like to walk around with a guidebook. I don't like to look like a tourist. So what I'll do is, I'll read it, and I'll take photos with my phone of the pages that interest me, and I'll read that, and I'll read it over my phone. I don't want to take a guidebook around with me and look too touristy. But even that I've stopped doing, and even guidebooks you can get online now, and there's so many resources online. So not really. It's all on your phone. You don't even need to carry a book, like a printed paper book. And those guidebooks themselves are quite heavy and they're dense, especially if you see the like a I don't know, a Lonely Planet of USA, for example, is going to be a big brick of a thing. So again, the formula has changed with technology. Number 5 is a bonus question. What book would you recommend to someone who can't travel? A book which would make them feel like they've gone on a holiday while reading it. For this, I took out this book. Everybody's going to know this one. Sorry about that. It's a little bit far. I forgot to bring it closer. The table where I keep my books are a bit far, and I didn't notice how far it was before I pressed record, but I've got them here. It's actually a box set. This is one book divided into three. Everybody knows this, The Lord of the Rings. This is book 1, The Fellowship of the Rings. Book 2, The Two Towers. And these covers, I think, are from the movie. Very, very cheap paperbacks. The Return of the King is part 3. These I read... travel, I read these to get away when COVID happened and I was under lockdown. I was like, I need to escape. This is a nightmare. What can I do? What can I read? And I decided to plunge into this, and I left the world of COVID and I went into Middle Earth and it was great escapism. I don't know if it's travel, it's escapism. I don't need to talk about Lord of the Rings. I think everybody watching this and their mother knows what Lord of the Rings is. This is a very well-read audience that I have. So another example I would select is this book. I've shown this book before. It's by Wilfred Thesiger, Arabian Sands. This is his classic travel tale of his epic journey through the empty quarter, the deserts of Arabia. He starts from the south in what is Yemen and just goes through the empty quarter, and he ends it not far or he ends his trip on the Persian or Arabian Gulf, which is he ends it in the city that I'm in, Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. So this is not just a travel writing, this is also historical primary source, historical resource for this part of the world where I am from. But talk about adventure. And Thesiger, he wasn't the first man or person to cross the empty quarter, but he's the best writer, the best person to write about, who's written about it, because he's just very elegant prose and he's just a great writer. And it's not easy. I mean, not easy to write, to make this entertaining, because, I mean, this is writer workshop nightmare. Look at, I mean, these are some of the, look at the, do you see that? This is just empty desert. So this is writer group nightmare. You look at this picture and you have to write 3,000 words. You know, even with prompts. What are you gonna write about? It's just sand for as far as the eye can see, never ending. Yet Thesiger is able to make a very just compelling, excellent writing, and you just after it, if you can't travel, you'll want to. Reading this book will make you want to get off the couch, open the door, go outside, and just walk across the road, walk to the local park, just walk. Just travel, just explore, just excellent travel writing, adventure writing. But again, I think what would probably stick with is probably this book again for travel, The White Nile. Again, Alan Moorhead's book, and you know these the White Nile um, and the Blue Nile, because the Nile it separates in Sudan, I believe, the city of Khartoum. It branches off into two. It actually that's the opposite. It starts as two rivers, and then it it comes together in Sudan's capital Khartoum, and then it becomes one Nile River in Egypt, and then at its mouth on the Mediterranean, it sort of becomes the Nile Delta, and it separates to many branches. But so these are two books. There's the White Nile and there's the Blue Nile, and again, this is basically adventure writing, travel writing, talking about 19th century British colonialism in Northeast Africa, places like Egypt, the Suez Canal, the Khedive, the Khedive, I think in English, Khedive. I don't know how the Khedive. I don't know how it's pronounced in English. The king in Egypt, which the British and the French sort of supported and kept until 1952 and the Republican Revolution, the Officers' Revolution. But it also goes into, like I said, the Suez Canal. It goes into the killing of Kitchener in Sudan. It goes through events in Ethiopia and deeper into Africa. Um, uh, Again, I think White Nile is about more deeper Africa, and then the Blue Nile. So that's the White Nile. That's the nicer cover. And then the Blue Nile is more about northern the northern section, or the lower section of the Nile, which is Sudan and Egypt. So either way, compelling travel writing, sort of gets you into the. If you can't travel, this will take you. It'll take you to the Nile and to the charms of Africa, definitely. So yeah, I guess this would be my pick. Well, I showed three, but that would probably be my number one, probably the most relevant for the prompt. That's it. The last tag is to tag others. This again, if you're watching this, consider yourself tagged. You have a booktube channel. If you don't have a booktube channel, you can do it in the comments section. I'd love to hear what your choices are, what your responses are. I'm very interested in that. So feel free to do it in the comments. Or if you have a booktube channel, you're watching this, you want to do it, consider yourself tagged. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you very much, booktube. Check out James Holder, get him to 800 subscribers. He's a veteran and one of those booktubers I'm jealous of. He reads so widely, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, everything. So somebody to aspire, a reader I aspire to become. So do check him out. Links in the description below. Thank you very much, booktube. Salute.